Good afternoon. My name is Amina Jindani and I have been your adjudicator for the performing arts categories, both the solo and the group categories for 2020. I have had great pleasure in adjudicating and looking at all your wonderful pieces of performance art. As I was compiling the reports, I thought it would be best to share some of my feedback with you face to face, as best as I can, as I'm in Kuala Lumpur and not in Singapore. So I can't be with the other organizers of the Singapore Performing Arts Festival this year. However, it is very nice to see you online, and I am with you in the group, and this is a recorded video so that everything might be clearer for you. I'm going to give you two types of feedback. The first is going to be about the voice, and the second is going to be about the physicality of your performance. I've made it as brief as I can so that it's easier for you to remember. I have made 7 categories for each of the voice and the physicality, so that if you want to make notes, you can grab a pen and paper and you can write this down. And also so that when you read your reports, you understand what it is that I'm saying in such a short paragraph of words. So first of all, the voice. There are 7 things that I have noted down about the voice that I think would be useful for you to know as feedback. The first is vocal projection. Vocal projection is about speaking loud enough for the audience so that the audience can hear you. If you don't speak loud enough, they won't hear you, and all the words that you've memorized will go to pot. So it's important that the audience can hear your words. And by projecting your voice does not mean being loud in a way that you're shouting. You've got to learn to do breathing exercises, and you've got to learn to warm up your voice before you start. Most of you had excellent vocal projection. How do you project your voice without a microphone? Well, you breathe from your diaphragm and your vocal cords are not strained. You can project your voice and make it loud and clear like that. Okay, the second thing that I made a note of in voice is pace. How you pace your voice. If you speak very quickly, then a lot of things might not be understood, and also the storytelling might not come across. You may be anxious or you may be excited, and that might elevate the speed of your speaking. But if you can control it, then you would have good marks for pacing. If you can vary the pacing so that sometimes the story or the performance has fast speech and sometimes it has slow speech, and also that you can incorporate pauses for dramatic effect, then your storytelling is going to be much more impressive. The next thing that I would like to mention is tone. The tone of your voice shows the kind of emotion that you are bringing forth. If your tone resonates with the subject matter of your storytelling, then you can incorporate mood and emotion into your text. As you recite your text, the tone of your voice is going to come through. It might be sad, it might be happy, it might be really excited, surprised and exhilarated. So you can change the way you speak and change the tone in your voice by the way that you feel as you speak the words. If you're not connecting your own emotions and your own feelings to the subject that you're talking about, it would sound as if you've just memorized a lot of words, but you don't feel anything. So this comes through with the tone. The fourth thing that I'd like to mention is pitch. When you change into character voices, you sometimes change the pitch of your voice, and that's very good. So there are different types of voices that have different types of pitch. Some of the characters that you speak have a very high-pitched voice. If you go too high, the audience might not be able to understand. But if your narrator has a very neutral level of pitch, then you can accelerate too high or too low to make the characters high-pitched, low-pitched. And this differentiates from one character to the other without you needing to say who that character is. You only need to say it once, and then we know by the voice. The fifth item in voice is volume. Now, of course, we've spoken about projection, that's so that the audience can hear, but what about changing the volume to make it as varied as you can? Sometimes you need to whisper to create tension and effect. And sometimes you are going to make it as loud as you can so that when the audience pick up that volume, they know that something's very impactful at that moment. So you don't have to keep your volume as neutral. You can change it and you can vary it. The sixth and seventh items on my list are about enunciation and pronunciation. Enunciating the words means that you don't leave the syllables out. And it's very difficult. When we talk to each other, we like to drop things like the letter T when we say don't, instead of don't. But when you're speaking with a projected voice to an audience and you want to be clear, you have to pronounce every syllable. You have to pronounce every consonant. You can always practice by warming up using tongue twisters. So one of my favorite tongue twisters is the lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue, the tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue, the tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue, the tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue, the tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue, the tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips. You can also say the big black bug bit, the big black bear butt, the big black bear bit, the big black bug back, the big black bug bit, the big black bear butt, the big black bear bit, the big black bug back, the big black bug bit, the big black bear butt, the big black bear bit, the big black bug back. Okay, so there's a lot of T's in there that you can pronounce. And in the first one, the lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue, the tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips. That one is very much about the letter T and the letters TH when they're pronounced. Okay, so that's about voice.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about physicality, and I have 7 items on my list of physicality that I'm going to share with you today in my feedback. As you can see, I'm using my hands, and this is called gesture. So I'm gesturing with my hands. They're not really actions, they're just gesturing. I'm just keeping my hands fluent and fluid as I speak, and these are just gestures. It's not particularly a big action at all. So which does bring me to what is an action? Well, an action can be doing something particular, like miming a cup of tea. I drank my tea. Another action could be using a bow or an arrow, shooting. Okay, that's an action because it's very specific and it's bigger, and I'm using more than just my hands. I'm using my arms, I'm using my shoulders, I'm also using my eye line to create that action. And next I move on to posture. So what is posture? Posture involves the body, and it involves how you hold the body in position. So this posture is very neutral. This is my narrator posture or my teacher posture. But if I was going to change the posture for a character, then I'm going to make the posture of the character more specific to that character. A little person, maybe this is a little Oliver Twist. There's a change in my posture. It became more hunched and it became more crouched. I could also hunch if I'm going to play an old man or an old lady and do this with my body. The old man went to the little boy, and I've changed my posture as well. This is my superhero posture. I've made it more powerful, more strong in my back. The woodcutter, he chopped, and then my posture is very different. when I say that character, by the way, I'm using my body to introduce you to that character. The next thing that we're going to look at is position. So if I was to look at the positioning of my performance, maybe my narrator is going to stand in a neutral position. But do my characters have to stand in the same position? No. You can change the positioning to play all the different roles. So you may want to say that this is now a change of position because this character is facing that character. And here we have the opposite. This character is now facing that character. So if this was the little boy Oliver Twist, please sir, can I have some more? And then he changes into the old man. No, you can't have any more. Okay, so there's a change in position, and I've used the posture to indicate the character. I've changed the positioning. Now it doesn't have to be left and right. It can also be up front. It can also be at the back. Even if you have a limited space, you can use the different places here to position yourself so that when you do have action, you can position your action to fit the frame. Use of space. So we have lots of space. Actually, we don't, we just have a tiny space, but this space could be used. So I could use the wall. No. I could use the camera because we're doing videos and she's getting closer. And I could use this diagonal line and go, you know what you need are some magic beans. You know, this is using the space. And using the space could also be about changing the level. So you've got lots of horizontal space and you've got vertical space. So you could be very high up. This is high to the camera, this is high. I am going to be the high character and I am going to be the low character. So I'm using the levels. And this is my character who's died. Changing level, dying. So that's changing levels. And last of all is if you do have a prop, you don't have to have props, but if you do have a prop and you put it in your hand, you have to use it because we're not giving marks for the setting. You know, the setting can be anywhere, but if you do have a prop and you don't use it, well, that's a shame because you've gone to all that effort to make that prop, but you haven't used it, so we can't see your skills in performance with the prop. The props get no points on their own. So what do we do with a prop? Well, let me see. Okay, so I've got a prop. This is a pink rhinoceros. Okay, so let's see if I don't use the prop and I just talk. And I'm just going to tell my story. This is not using the prop. But if I use the prop and I'm telling the story, then the prop is getting used, and that's fine because the prop can talk and I can respond to the prop and the prop can nod or whatever, you know, whatever you use in your hand, make sure it's used and not just briefly and you just throw it away or forget that it's in your hand. Make sure it has purpose and so that it's part of the story. And lastly, I'd like to say it's been a great pleasure to be your adjudicator for the performing arts. I've enjoyed myself and I really hope that you have read the report, understood the report, not got upset by the report, and that you know what I mean when I put those words together for you. It's so that you can advance and progress. And to all of you, congratulations on your results. You've all done amazing work.